You talk about the portfolio having expected or having particularly increased volume in places like Asia Pacific and Latin America. Why was that the case?
Well, in Asia Pacific has always been a strong market for us, and China was in question in the second quarter, but we had a very good quarter in China. Upper 30% growth rates, good teen growth, and we've put about 40% of an additional sales force in China over the last year. Changed some of our marketing there. It's done well. And on the Japanese side, when you think about what's going on in Japan for Align right now, our sales are up over 60%. Good balance between general practitioners and also orthodontists. If I just rotate to Latin America that you mentioned also, Brazil's been on fire for us. It's been growing over 100% per year over the last 3 or 4 years, and it's becoming important. It's a big market. There's a lot of interest in dental care in Brazil. Just like we see in Spain and different parts of Europe also, these countries that are very focused on aesthetics. And so, overall, it was a good quarter for us, but I like the breadth of the quarter in the sense of the overall global growth of the company.
Yeah, well, what do you find is most effective in terms of increasing volumes? Is it, you refer to a change in marketing, for example, in China, or is the core of it the relationships with the doctors and continuing to increase those?
Well, there's a lot of variables in our equation, and that's what's nice. There's many levers we can pull, and it depends on where you are in the world. So as an example, we have 65,000 doctors globally. We added 6,000 more doctors alone in the third quarter. We can add sales force at times when we're expanding in international markets and markets we've been in for a while, adding sales force. We have a wonderful brand name, and accentuating that brand name both online and with general broadcast really helps a lot. But I'd also say technology. We're the technology leader in this industry. We've been in it for 20 years. New products like Invisalign First, where we can treat patients as young as 7 years old. We use artificial intelligence to really predict eruption of teeth in younger patients, and we can program those into our aligners, which allowed us to move down in the age demographics in that sense. That widens and broadens the market for us, too. And so that's what's great about this company. There's a lot of levers, and depending on where you are, technology, sales force, overall capability from a logistics standpoint, all those things are meaningful from a growth standpoint for Align.
In terms of the competitive environment, Joe, you've had essentially a 2-decade-old monopoly, and now we're starting to see, more upstarts in this direct-to-consumer market. That has elicited some concerns from analysts. What do you make of that? Especially in light of Smile Direct Club's IPO, which is, so far those shares are down about 56% from their IPO price. Is the competitive environment in direct-to-consumer a real threat to your business right now?
I don't consider it a threat at all. We're the technology leaders again. Remember, versus direct-to-consumer, we go with those 65,000 doctors I just talked about. It's in their hands, the patients. They use our technology the best. They understand their patients well, and I feel very good about that model. What the DTC companies have done, the direct-to-consumer companies, they've identified this market that we've talked about for years that's really beyond the wires and brackets market that we entered this marketplace in. Is they've identified really hundreds of millions of additional patients that would want orthodontic treatment, but they want it digitally with plastics. They would never go with the old analog wires and bracket systems in order to get it. So I feel that is our market. I think we're best positioned to be able to address that market with our doctor partners, not just in North America, but all over the world.
But DTC can also offer it for cheaper. So in terms of kind of increasing volumes, are you concerned that the price point that which you're offering could come under fire as some of these upstarts are able to offer things for a little cheaper, especially as, we start to see consumer sentiment shift a little bit?
Yeah, no, it's a really good question. But from a cheaper standpoint, before, and again, in the old analog kind of process, there's really only one way to move teeth, and you had to move them all together. The wonderful thing about digital is we can move one tooth at a time or all your teeth. And so if you want just an aesthetic repair from an orthodontic standpoint, we can deliver that through our doctors at a very competitive price. If you want a full bite correction, or if it's a teenager that has, certain malocclusions that are really specific, and then we can go as high as, some of the higher orthodontic case starts cost in the world. So we have a very flexible model based on digital technology that can address what that specific patient wants at that point in time. And we can do it competitively through a doctor base, which helps to guarantee an outcome and is a very safe way in order to deliver that treatment.
I noticed in your press release, you seem to trumpet your relationships with the San Francisco 49ers, the Carolina Hurricanes, the Patriots in football, as well as the Raptors, the champions in the NBA. Why is that an important channel for you in terms of marketing? Why do sports teams seem to figure so prominently in your reaching out to consumers?
Sports teams have changed their marketing. They've really embraced the communities around them and their fan base in a much better way in the last 5 years. So they give us great breadth to be able to touch, potential patients and consumers in a way that we couldn't, because they identify with those sports teams and that brand. And us combining a line which has, Invisalign, which has the best consumer brand out there from an orthodontic standpoint, in conjunction with the customers that these sports teams can really touch day in and day out, has been very effective for us. So we're excited about those relationships.